Good morning. Good morning. All right, it looks like we are live. Give me just a moment. All right. So here we are, and once again, good morning, Melanie. I see that you're watching here. Say hello in the comments. Gosh, it seems, good morning, Wendy. Melanie, it's funny, just the other day, I got some kind of one of those little reminders of when we were in Miami for the HCI convention thingy, right? And it was such a long time ago. It's amazing. But thank you for being here this morning. And thank you to Wendy for being here. So I'm excited this morning. It's funny. I I was listening to an audio that is some stuff that I'm studying, and he said something that sparked this idea within me. I tell you all the time that I keep papers so I can write things down and stuff, and or I put notes on my phone and all these things. Well, in that moment, I didn't see a place to write anything down, and I was listening on my phone, and I thought, well, give me just a minute and I'll go in the office and I'll write it down. Well, by the time I got to the office, it was like, poof, where did it go? What was it I was thinking? Because it was brilliant. Of course, I can say that because I don't have it to share with you to get your opinion on it. But it was like, it just went away. It was like, pfft. So one of the things I didn't do this morning was immediately write it down, which is what I tell everybody to do, right? And so maybe it'll show back up later, or maybe it really wasn't what I needed to talk about. I don't know. So then, as I came in the office to get ready to share with you this morning, a different affirmation and journal prompt came to me. So I thought, okay. But it was just funny. It was like, it didn't take me but just a few seconds to get up and go into the office, and it was gone. Ah. Does that ever happen to you guys? You have this brilliant thought and then gone. Oh my goodness. I see, Melanie, you feel that way, right? All right. So, how are you guys doing this morning? You feeling good? I don't know about you, but it's already 75 degrees. Melanie can't talk at work. Ah, gotcha. Yeah. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you for joining in while you're at work. Well, I'm feeling really good this morning, other than the little snafu of the brilliant idea being gone. But like I said, it'll come back. If it was really a brilliant idea, it'll come back, right? But when I'm walking the dog in the mornings now, even though it is still warm and it gets really warm during the day, it's been up in the 90s every day. It still has this different feel about it, and, like, it could be wishful thinking, it could just be the fact that maybe the winds are coming from a different way. I'm not a weather person, so I don't know. I would assume that the winds are coming from different places all the time, so I don't know what that's about. But it feels like we're just on the cusp of fall. And maybe it's because the kids have gone back to school, even though when I was young, we didn't go back to school till after Labor Day. And so it feels kind of strange that here in Georgia, right around me, kids went back to school August 1st. And it's like, what? That's still summer. But now when I'm walking, just I can feel it. in the air and it feels glorious. I love it. I love it. I'm going to go ahead and grab the affirmation for you guys. Hold on a second. I know, I know. I couldn't believe it. I had a client that I was talking to, and she said, "Yeah, my daughter starts school and soon." And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, I think it's actually on the first." And it was like, what? Seems odd, but okay. All right, our affirmation for today is every moment, not that moment, this moment, some other moment. It is every single moment in our lives holds the power for us to transform. You go back on the 23rd. Wow. That's still before Labor Day. We didn't go till after Labor Day. So I think school would usually start like June 7th or no, that's not right. September 7th or something. I don't know. And then school would be out in June. So yeah, it's definitely a different animal now. All right. So the affirmation, every moment holds the power for me to transform my life. And what does that really mean? Right. And, we've talked about a lot of this stuff where it's the thoughts we think, the things that we do, how we feel, all of those things can have power within us, right? So when you're going through your day and you catch yourself with these disempowering thoughts, whatever they may be, when you see them and you can reframe them and direct them differently, then you have the power in that moment to transform your life. Because when we can be in control of how we respond to things. So we can't control, whether things show up or what shows up. We can't really control that because that's an external thing. What we can control is our response to that. And I was on a podcast yesterday. I was a guest, and we were talking. And one of the things that, as we were talking, that came up was that we have the power to change so much, and we sometimes choose to be the powerful person and sometimes not, right? And so we can direct ourselves wherever we want to go. And to the extent that we can actually, like we've talked about this before too, we can be explorer in our own lives. So we can look back at some of the things that have happened that maybe make us feel less than, maybe that make us feel like a victim, maybe things that make us feel sad and make us feel taken advantage of, whatever they are, any of the negative feelings that something in your past is bringing up for you. What happens today is when you're going about your day and something happens, your databanks, your subconscious mind is looking through to see what things have happened in the past that might be a similar feeling or emotion. And it will validate whatever it is. So if something happens, you'll have the same kind of reaction toward it. Is what I'm getting to. So if someone made you feel like you were not important, and that's still there, then something can happen that has nothing to do with you not being important. It's not even, that's not the intent. That if you had a different lens of the world, you wouldn't even think that. But because that happened in your past and you haven't been able to get past that or around that or through that, then what's going to come up when this thing happens is that's going to be exactly what it thinks it means, right? So we attach meaning to things depending on the things that have happened in our past. And so when I say we want to have the be the explorer, is we want to look at the things that have happened and what are our natural inclination when we think of it, what pops up for us. And that's what we need to address. That's what would benefit us to reframe. So, for instance, let's see, I've shared with you that there was a period of time in my life that I had multiple automobile accidents within a few months. None of them were my fault, right? Physically, none of them were my fault. But I was going through a lot of stuff at the time. And so I was in a mindset of people are out to get me. I was in the mindset where things always happen to me. Why is it when I have a little bit of money come in, something happens to take it away? I mean, I had all of that stuff going on. And every time one of those accidents would happen, it would put me back into that place, because then I would think, wow, it's like people are aiming for me. It's like I'm just minding my own business, and then bam, and then now I'm having to spend money on this stuff. Not only that, I'm having to go to the doctor, and so I had this thing about all of it, right? And as I got a little bit more awakened to what's going on, I started to realize that my thoughts about people are out to get me was bringing people, magnetically bringing them to me to prove that, right? And so, one of the things that's important for us is to be able to look at these things. And as I looked at it, and I realized that I was drawing that stuff to me by my thoughts and my feelings about all of this stuff. And it wasn't just the accidents I was going through, and I've shared with you guys before, so you may not remember, but I was going through this relationship thing with this gentleman. And I say that term loosely. It was a man that, when things went south, they went south big. He was an amazing person. I loved being in a relationship with him till I didn't, because he was actually seeing 5 other people that I found out about. One of them he was actually engaged to. And all of this was happening while he was making me feel so special, right? But I had these little ideas every now and then that would make me question things, but he could always discount it. It was like, I don't know why you feel that way, and all this stuff. So that's the things that was going through my mind, as I couldn't believe that this had happened to me and at this level. And so I had all this angst about all kinds of things, right? So I'm telling you all this because when I go back and I look now at this relationship that I had with him, it taught me so much. I mean, there were so many things that were amazingly wonderful about that relationship that made me really know that I want those things in a relationship, right? It also taught me that my intuition is spot on, and I cannot ever again let anybody tell me that my intuition is wrong. And I'm not looking for things to be wrong, but when something comes up, I now know that I need to listen to my intuition and my heart. And so I learned so much, and I learned that when it comes down to it, I am strong as hell, because I'll just share, the day before the shit hit the fan, so to speak, I had this, something was still, it just felt off. And it was like, I said, okay, God, I get it. If something's going on, no, this is what I said. If nothing's going on, give me peace and let me just release all this angst that I'm feeling. But if something's going on, show it to me in a way that he can't discount it or discredit it, and I can't ignore it. Big problem with that kind of thing, right? So the next day when I get up, he's sick, he's in another state, and he can't talk because he's at the hospital, and I'm so concerned about him. And oh my gosh, my heart was just breaking, because he's out of state and he's supposed to be working, and now he's at the hospital, and his stomach and all these different things. So I start, because we were sharing a cell phone plan, I put him on my cell phone plan. So we're sharing a cell phone plan, and I think, okay, I don't know what's going on with him because he wouldn't calling me back. He wasn't texting or anything. And so I started getting scared that something had happened to him. So I go into the cell phone plan, into the billing, and I look at the number that he has. And I look at the last couple of numbers that he called, so that I figured that that was probably somebody that he worked with, that he was calling and saying, I'm at the hospital and I can't make it in, and all this. So I would call them and say, hey, I've lost contact with him. Can you just kind of fill me in a little bit? I'm sure he's been in touch with you. What's going on? That was my idea, right? So I call that first number, and it's a woman that says, I don't know what you're talking about. And then after a few minutes in a conversation, she's been dating him for a couple of months. And I thought, well, that's odd, right? I'm here worried about him. So I go to the next number and I call that one. And same thing, but he had been seeing her longer. I called the next number. Well, I'm telling you, after the fifth number, I quit calling. But as soon as all of that transpired, I kind of went into this place of, okay, now what do I do? So I send him a text message. I canceled his phone. I messaged those people that I'd talked to and told them what was going on. And then I released it, I thought. However, all of that angst was still within me. And that's why all this other stuff was happening, right? Because I was feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did this to me. Why did I deserve this? And I just went through this rabbit hole of stuff. And that's why all that other stuff was happening. And so once I finally got to this place where it was like, okay, I got to make a change here. And I started looking at it as an explorer, and I started looking at the things that it taught me. And it was about my intuition and my strength and my power and my ability to get through things, right? And my ability to find peace within myself no matter what. So now when something comes up, I don't divert back to that emotion of everybody's out to get me and looking at that as a horrible thing that happened, right? It doesn't mean it was a good thing, but man, oh man, did it put me in a better place. And so when we can go and we can find the moments in our lives that have angst in them and they have this emotional attachment to some thought or idea about us, and we can reframe that, then whew, that's powerful. We can transform just about anything in our lives. Well, we can transform anything in our lives, right? So just remember, our affirmation for today is every moment holds the power, if you choose to use it, to transform your life. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab the journal prompt. Let's see. And maybe I made it too long. Let's see. Did I? No, I got it. All right. So our journal prompt. I believe my decisions could make today the day that positively impacts my life. So I believe my decisions could make today the day that positively impacts my life, because it can if you choose, if you decide, right? So what's one small decision you can make right now that could spark a significant positive change? So has anybody got anything? I see you there, Lynn. I don't know if I said hello. So has anybody got an idea? Let's see what's happening over here. Hello, Lynn. Hello. It's so good to have you here. All right. So when we're looking at this journal prompt, do you have an idea? What's one small decision you can make right now that could spark a significant positive change in your life? Any ideas? Any thoughts? Going through my stuff. Yes, Wendy. And like I said, until I went through that relationship and then went back to see what did it teach me, it was still bringing a lot of stuff to me. It would make cleaning easier, yeah. And we have so much power within us that we do not access. And a lot of times it's because over time, we've been inundated with people telling us how little power we have or what they believe we have as power, right? And so I think, to me, if you can make a decision today, right now, that you are powerful and that you are in control of your life, making that decision, and that's not small. It's not small in significance, but it's small in action, because really all you have to do is make that decision, right? If you can decide right here, right now, that you are powerful and that you can positively affect your life, whew. Doesn't that feel good? It feels, sometimes, I'll be honest, there have been times in my life that thought would have been scary, because if I could positively impact my life and I took ownership of that, then it was all my fault for the shit that was showing up. And that didn't feel good. It felt better in some ways to be the victim, and it was somebody else doing it to me. So it took me a while to get to a place where it felt good and it felt powerful to realize that I could change it, and that it was because of the lens that I had of the world. It was because of the way I think about the world. It's because of my feelings about me and the experiences in my life that I had created this external circumstance that I had. But the power in that was, if it's me, I can change it. If it's somebody else, So as long as I held on to, it's somebody else's fault, I'm the victim here, the more I played the victim and the more things that showed up that helped me to see what a victim I was. But man, oh man, to get to a place of knowing your internal strength and your power that you have to reframe the things that have happened so that they become powerful allies for you, and to be able to make decisions in the moment, right here, right now, that will positively impact the rest of your life. Man, oh man. It's a lot, right? And I, for one, no longer want to live as a victim of anything. And it doesn't mean I don't get stressed, I don't get anxious. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect by any means. It means when things come up and my subconscious mind goes through its Rolodex to see, well, how are we supposed to react to this? It doesn't see all that negative stuff that used to show up. Now it sees, oh my gosh, this is a power thing. Let's figure out, where's the power in this? And so it's all changed. Not to say that I don't go down the rabbit hole of despair. I do. It's just like I will dip my toe into it. Sometimes I might put a whole leg and half my body, but I'm still hanging on up here so that I can pull myself out. And so give yourself that visual, right? So just imagine that you're going through your day and something big happens. Big. Now, big to you could be something small to someone else. It doesn't matter. It's you, right? So something happens, the rabbit hole of despair opens up right in front of you, and you start falling in, but you catch yourself at the top. It's like, oh no, baby. No, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. And you climb out. Doesn't that feel like a much better way to live your life? Because I will say, in the past, I used to not only fall down in that rabbit hole, I'd be going head first and I would stay there for a while, and there's no telling where I would come up or how long it would be before I came up. So let's just ask again. What's one small decision you can make right now that could spark a significant positive change? And then when you go to your to journal about this, yes, avoid the rabbit holes definitely. Well, you know you're going to get one, so just be able to catch yourself at the top. It's like, no, not today. So just think about it. When you're doing your affirmation, you got it written on your piece of paper, you've got the date at the top, you go to your journal prompt, and you focus on the fact that today, your statement, even though it's not part of the affirmation, it kind of is, right? I believe my decisions could make today the day that positively impacts my life. So then as you go to what's one small decision, you can just write out whatever works for you. Just concentrate on that. I believe my decisions could make today the day that positively impacts my life. And then when you get into silence and you get into your heart, you quiet your mind chatter, and then you start writing things out, you might find that there's all kinds of things, not just one decision. There's all kinds of things that'll pop up. And remember what I've said before is that when you are tapping into this, your subconscious mind is going to feed you information that it believes. And so don't discredit anything. Don't say, well, that doesn't make sense. Don't do any of that. Just take it, whatever shows up, and just write it out and just brain dump everything that shows up. And then you're going to find that there's going to be some amazing epiphanies in doing this process. And then you look at it. Let me see. What does this say? I've been able to do that as well, not necessarily allowing whatever it is to consume me, although I don't necessarily persevere on the thing, but use avoidance, which isn't always the best way to deal with things. Definitely. Well, when I say don't go down the rabbit hole is the place where all you do is you see every negative aspect of it and it makes you a victim. So when I say we're not going to go down the rabbit hole, that doesn't mean we don't feel the feels. It doesn't mean that we don't move through it, because we have to move through it. Remember, like what you just said. And so when we catch ourselves at the top, before the despair gets really big and we're the victim, we start thinking about what just happened. How did it feel? How do we want it to feel? And where can we find the power in the thing that happened? And so it's not avoiding it completely, right? It's avoiding the self-inflicted pain from whatever happened. Because the reason we feel so strongly about something is because we are in the victim mode usually. And we feel that this happened to us. And if we can look at how it happened for us, and even if it was really bad and really hard to go through, There's something that we were supposed to gain from that experience. And like I shared yesterday with that gentleman on the podcast, I said, if whatever that we gained something from every experience that we've had, and sometimes it's just don't do that shit anymore. Don't believe that kind of person. Make sure you're listening to your intuition. When I was talking about that guy that I had dated and all the stuff went away. Well, the funny thing is when we first started dating, he was traveling a lot, right? And one of the times that we'd been seeing each other for a little bit. And so we were texting and stuff when he was out of town and we would talk. And this one particular day, I was about to go to bed and I sent him a text and he didn't respond. And that wasn't normally him. So then I sent another text and he didn't respond. Well, I didn't hear from him for like a day and a half. And so when he called or he texted me and said, I've been really busy and I will call you later. And my first response was, don't bother, because I had this feeling that things were not on the up and up. Right? But then he immediately called me and he said, what do you mean don't bother? I was busy and yada, yada, yada. And my intuition at that point was telling me, don't go there. But I still did, because he was able to have me feeling like, he was just busy. He really wanted to connect, but he didn't. Right? Of course, I would have missed all the amazing things about that relationship if I hadn't started, right? But I did have indicators really early on, and I could have just walked away like that if I had been really in tune with my intuition and trusted me. And that's what this whole thing is about, getting to this place where you trust you and your decisions and your intuition and your power to discern what's going on, and your power to not fall in prey to things that have happened in the past. So when I look at that in this very moment, part of that reason he was able to make it seem like I was being silly was because I had had instances in my past to where someone else did the same thing to me. My first husband was having an affair and living with a woman while I was 8 months pregnant, and I had no idea. Doesn't that sound crazy, right? How would you not know? But I didn't. He was a musician. He worked at night, right? I was 8 months pregnant when we split up. And he had me the whole time when something came up and I felt like something's not right here. He had the ability to turn it on me to where it was me. And so I had not worked through that. I had not dealt with all the emotions and the guilt of all the things that he said to me, all the experiences that I had, and the feeling of being not good enough, and so many things. I hadn't worked through that. So when this happened with him, it was like, sounds like your ex. When this happened with him, since I hadn't worked through that, my data bank went right there. Okay. But did it say, this is a lie? No, it said, this is the way people treat you. So it's okay. You see, there's a difference there. So when you don't work through the emotional things, which is important, it's going to bring back how you felt about the thing, not actually the truth about the thing. Because the truth was he was a jerk, a cheating jerk, both of them, right? a narcissist. They were all those things, but that is not what my data banks brought up for me. No, it brought up that's how people treat you. That's what you deserve, obviously, or it wouldn't keep happening. So that's why, like, just like, was it Wendy that said that? It was Lynn. So that's why what Lynn said is powerful, because we really want to work through the emotion things and not just bury it, not just change it to where, okay, I'm glad that happened. No, it's finding the gift in it and reframing what it means to you to having been in that experience. We let the emotion go. We don't bury it down. So thank you for that, Lynn. That's very helpful for me to work through a little bit. And I hope that made sense. Sometimes as I'm talking, I'm thinking, I don't know, it makes sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to anybody else. Okay, beautiful, Melanie. Thank you. All right. So like I said, just brain dump whatever comes up. And today, just make that decision. A decision means that it's burn the boats. You are deciding this is how life is going to be. You are going to be magnificent because you are. So use today to reclaim your power, stand up taller, be proud of who you are, knowing that you've got this. And so just a quick reminder that, when is it? Tuesday, the 20th at 4 p.m. Eastern. That's when we're going to have the mini workshop, and that's in the events section of the group. And so I would love it for you to go ahead and say that you will be there, or that you want to watch the replay, or whatever it may be. But I'm so excited to share, because this is a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now. It's about how can we magnetically bring the things we want to us instead of bringing the things that we don't want. It's going to be so powerful. I'm so excited to share with you guys and get your vibrational happening as we're in the workshop, because it's, like I said, it's going to be powerful. So I'm hoping that you'll be there. And just a quick thing as well, anybody that is enjoying these affirmations and the journal prompts, these discussions, have a beautiful day. Thank you, Vicky Sue. I would like the replay. Okay, beautiful, beautiful, Melanie. If you don't mind, can you go into the group, into the events, and then just say that you won't be able to be there, and then I will remember to send you the replay. Because otherwise I might get distracted and not have that on my radar. All right, so today, make sure that you've made the decision to positively impact your entire life. Good morning, Wendy. Good morning. Thank you, Melanie. Yes, beautiful. So it's getting time for me to go, as I have a client due any minute now. And so I'm excited to remind you about the event on Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, and to let you know that I will be here with you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. Once again, I would love it if you can be here for that. And I just totally lost my train of thought, right? So if you're enjoying these affirmations and journal prompts and all the things that we're doing, make sure to invite your friends and do a direct message to them that you are in this group and you would love it if they were part of the group with you. They would get a lot of value, whatever feels good to you, but make sure you do it in a direct message and tell them to answer the question so that they can be entered in the group. And I've got some amazing guests coming up next month. And so I am so excited to share with you guys each and every day. And I am so grateful that you guys are here. And so with that said, have an amazingly, powerful, transforming day. And I will see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern. Mwah.